Hey, what's up New Zealand and the world? Lucas Lawman's Kiwi Voice. Thanks for taking the time to tune in once again. In lieu of not being on the ground up there, just want to show a big shout out to my man Jim McNabb and his coordinate on the ground, Fiona, for sending us all these photos and footage that we're going to use in this video to give you a bit of a roundup. Bit of a quieter couple of days compared to last update. There hasn't been any large police movements forward. The protesters stayed fairly peaceful, but has been a couple of interesting developments to cover off in terms of the response. So let's get into it. So Friday was a fairly quiet day, as I mentioned, in comparison to Thursday. Things were just ticking along. The weather did deteriorate, but slowly but surely the crowd of protesters did indeed swell. As was reported, many did come from different parts of the North Island, and a few more have trickled across on the ferry and in flights from the south. However, early evening, Speaker Trevor Mallard started the first of a couple of tactics which seem kind of infantile to me, but let's have a look at them to try and get these protesters moved along. So firstly, he introduced some sprinklers into Parliament across the lawns. So this is the usual irrigation system that's in place to keep the lovely parliamentary lawns and grounds as they are, which is immaculate all of the time. But he put them on deliberately to try and make the protesters uncomfortable, and actually even came so far as to say in a public statement, it'll make things a lot more uncomfortable for them. What did the protesters do in response to that? Well, check out some of these photos there. You'll see they've gone to the length of diverting this water with road cones. They've dug trenches, gumboots. They've also then brought in more marquees. They've diverted the water. They've brought in carpet and other ground coverings such as rubber matting, etc. And then check out this guy as he's bringing in bales of hay, and that has been spread all across the ground as it became very sodden. By this stage, the rain had also kicked in quite a severe way, so the combination of the sprinklers and the rain really made the Parliament lawns a complete and utter mess. So that's the protesters' response to that. So they hadn't been wavered from that. Moving into Saturday, as I said, the crowd swelled after this water had been dealt with. It continued to get a bit larger. You'll see a couple of these shots here of sort of views from different angles. Once again, thank you to Fiona on the ground for those. You'll see people are lined up right across the top of both sides of the Parliament grounds, looking down in and down on the main lawn. So the next tactic that our friend Trevor Mallard decided to employ, this is a classic one. They placed large PA-style speakers across the first story of Parliament buildings and proceeded to do this. Yep, that's right. You were hearing Baby Shark in there, and that is just one of a number of tracks that they were thrashing out to try and make the protesters uncomfortable. A form of psychological warfare, if you may. They had Baby Shark, they had songs from the Frozen soundtrack, interspersed with what a lot of people in the protest movement specifically would call COVID propaganda, but to others would be known as the COVID public service announcements or the public health announcements. In between, more Barry Manilow, Macarena, and police sirens. This went on all evening, would you believe? So they really went to that extent. But once again, the protesters, other than a number of hilarious posts through the different social media channels, they were not deterred. So just more protesters standing around singing, dancing, trying to keep warm. There was one call that did go out through the Convoy 2022 group asking for help with medical or nursing or first aid. There is a dedicated first aid tent set up at the protest, and they were, with the rain and the cold, they were getting a bit more people coming in, and so they'd asked for help. Outside of that, though, everything else does seem to be running smoothly. And it'll be interesting to see, obviously, as we're into Sunday now, whether the crowd continues to swell within this terrible, awful weather they've got going on there, or whether any of these other tactics used by the Speaker of the House are going to play a part. Thanks once again for tuning in, team. If you're watching this on Facebook, by all means, share that link around, comment down below. I'm doing my best to answer every single comment on this page. If you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't subscribed already yet, please do so. Once again, it helps that algorithm. But for now, stay safe, stay free, and we'll see you real soon.